we're going to start out with some tech tips and I guess you'd call it technical tips. Automotive technical tips.
Technical difficulty tips.
Working on a 2019 Ford F250 Powerstroke. It's been through some bumpy roads. A few parts fell off, if you will. So we'll get into the details later, but right now we're on a test drive and going to go do a relearn, a KAM relearn on the transmission. So stick around and find out. It'll be fine, y'all. We're going to test this out and see if we fixed my transmission. Fresh fluid, fresh tune, fresh valve body.
Right now he's just running through the sequence. Every time he goes to a different gear, to the sequence, then he holds it for 4 seconds.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, if you're like me, it's best to have a hard copy or have it on your phone, whatever you can see, not try to do it by memory, because you will get confused if your brain works anything like mine. I have to follow along with it to know where I'm at in this sequence. So we just completed the sequence 3 times, 4 seconds for each gear. Now we're going to drive it. We find a break in the traffic here. We're not exactly in flat, straight territory, so we drove about 40 miles before doing this to get to a flat, straight stretch of road, and it's not flat or straight, but that's the best we could do. We're going to drive it, let it shift on its own and drive around 1500 RPM. We're going to do that, and then we're going to hit the brakes, decelerate back to a stop, turn around, and do it again for a total of 3 times. Then we'll do 3 more times letting it shift at about 2250 RPM. Then we'll repeat that procedure with the column shifter. So the last 2 times we've done this relearn, it shifted like you know what. So there's 15 smooth. I'm liking it. 1700. I'm liking it, Zach. This is the best it's shifted ever. So a little bit of backstory. I told you we have some weight loss and some tunes. I was running the recommended tune for the horsepower I was running. We had a transmission service and it shifted terrible ever since. So I didn't know if it was the tune or the service. So what we've done is we've put a new valve body, and that's a whole different procedure. We're not even going to get into that. I could recommend some videos to you that go to that into great detail. But after I put the valve body on, the other guys that I've seen do this, as soon as their valve body goes on, they take off, it's shifting smooth. It fixed their problem. That was not the case for me. It was shifting as bad or maybe worse. So I changed my transmission tune to drive down here. I didn't want to drive another 40 miles with it shifting, banging around. So that seemed to fix it. And now this is the first time that I have performed this relearn, and it seems to be doing it like it says it should work. So we'll be back after we do this half a dozen times.
We just finished up our 3 0 to 65 mile an hour pulls. 3 at 1500, 3 at 2250. He's going to run back through the column shift sequence, and that'll finish up the relearn.
Alright guys, we're running, and gals, sorry. Again, this is 2019 Powerstroke 4-wheel drive 3/4 ton F250. I've been running proven tunes since I've been running tunes. 160 horse, quick response, low boost fuel. The current transmission tune, which for the last hour I have been well pleased with is the high pressure medium shift. Not the high pressure medium shift with the second gear lock. So the second gear lock is what they recommended when I contacted them, and like I said before, we've had hard shifts, sloppy shifts and hard. Started out very intermittent, 1 to 2 and 3 to 2 shifts, would occasionally bang. When I was pulling my trailer, or even if I just had it in tow haul mode without the trailer, it never did it. For months, it never did it. Then it started doing it, even with the trailer. Then we started seeing a 5 to 6. It wasn't really banging from a 5 to 6, but it was just an awkward feel. You can just tell something's not right. Got to doing some research and saw a couple guys change valve bodies, fix the problems. We put the valve body in, we programmed the whatever those solenoid numbers are through FORScan. We got that done.
And that is FORScan, not FORScan. Let's
Yes.
make that clear.
FORSCAN. We did that procedure after we got as much fluid in it as we could without starting it. So we started it, ran it in neutral, filled it up, topped it off. We ended up putting what, 13 quarts in?
12 and a half. 12 and a half.
12 and a half,
Yep.
and then we ran it for a few minutes and
then
put
topped
it
off.
to 13. We're about to check it again right now. After we drove it down here, and like I said, about 40 miles, we just went through the relearn procedure for the KAM. That's the keep alive memory, in case you don't know. It's shift patterns that programs into it, and that will continue learning for about 500 miles. That puts it in learning mode. Anyway, my train of thought. We put this valve body in, and we backed it off the rack, and I drove it to my house. We dropped my wife's car back off to her. About a half mile after we left the shop where we were working, it was not shifting right, so I went to manual mode and drove it. And we drove it to town. We went to Sonic, got us some burgers, and sat there in the parking lot and changed the transmission tune. Pulled out onto the highway and drive, and it was as smooth as silk all the way down here. So, guys and gals, I think that the TCM tune from Proven that says high pressure medium shift second gear lockup, if you are having problems, I want to hear about it. Let's contact these guys and let them know, because that's the tune they recommended to me, so I trusted them. But on this truck, at that time that I had it serviced, I did not have time to do my own maintenance. I wanted it done right, so I hired these guys. Paid them like $700, 30,000 miles ago. When I drained my fluid out of this transmission, it was not hardly black like used motor oil, but it was a dark cherry brown. Didn't smell burnt, but it's not right. Not right at all. I was expecting it to still be like that dumpster over there. Peep the bright red, you know. It barely had a red hue to it at all at 30,000 miles. I cannot say that the tune caused the problem, or that my valve body was already bad when they did the service, or if when they serviced it, they trashed it up, or did they even service it? Did they just pull it in, keep it for a few hours, and then say, hey, your truck's done, come and get it? Yeah, I got it all wrapped up, good to go. Who knows? Could be any of the three or any combination. So we'll get some real world testing here and see how this holds up. So like I said, we changed two things at the same time. We changed the valve body, and then half an hour later, we changed the tune. The valve body did not seem to fix my problem, but when I switched tunes, it did. And we tried the KAM relearn last week, the day before I ordered my parts, because I wanted to be sure I'm gonna just do this tune one more time and do the relearn. Maybe it was an error from the last relearn. If anything, it made it worse. So we decided to go ahead and get the parts and do the job. We're going to get out here in the rain and check our fluid level, see if we need to add any, and then we'll head on back up the mountain. Look at the camera, because I don't know.
What'd you say?
Am I supposed to look at the camera? You guys, do you want me to look at you, or just pretend like
He's
you're
got
not there?
nice blue eyes.
I don't know what to do. This is new to me. If you've never seen the dipstick on one of these things, you can about jump rope with it.
This is the setup. It's the no limit pipe kit, cold air intake. And this is the rig, the work truck. If you have changed your valve body and are still having shift problems, if you are running proven tunes, play around with it. Try out the different transmission tunes and see if that'll fix your problem.
We keep getting different readings on our stick, but I believe we're right at the top of our checker marks. We're dry right above there, so I believe we're good to go. You ever tried to push a rope uphill?
Tried it with a chain once. We're out.
We said, good job, Frankie. My dad called my truck Frankie. Frankenstein. I corrected and said, Frankenstein's not the monster, but the guy who created it. So I said, good boy. Some people say girl. Frankie's one of those names that go either way, right?
Very gender neutral, all-inclusive.
Speaking of neutral, very smooth. There's no complaints right now. I ran it a little bit harder. We had some 27 to 3,000 RPM shifts pulling out of there just to see how it would do. Smooth as silk, guys. Firm, you know, it's what I want. It's what I like. Cause I'm going to be pulling the load 90% of the time. I don't like a sloppy shift. But smooth. You got any better way of saying it, Zach?
No, daylight and dark difference. Hard banging shifts, and immediately after the tune is installed, run down the road and it is brand new.
And even better after the relearn.
Yep.
Smooth as silk.
A little bit of that Tennessee landscape. Hard to find a flat spot around here.
We're back in good old Cross Vegas, Crossville, if you don't know what Cross Vegas is. We just passed a Vegas restaurant. That's been Cross Vegas as long as I can remember. Anyway, we're on the main stretch here, 127. Just passing the Lowe's blows. I mean the Lowe's.
Bunch of crooks there, Jason Lewis Automotive.
This is about the best place we have in Crossville that we could have done that KAM relearn. It's a speed limit 45, and the troopers and the city like to sit here and watch it. And I didn't want to get somebody killed, and I sure didn't want to go to jail to do this. That's why we drove 40 miles to do it.
You guys ain't worth that.
Like I said, we're back. Zero complaints. Well, I had a Tesla run up on me like there was somebody, you know, going to do something. So we had to smoke a couple of Teslas on the way back. Other than that, we just drove normal. Cruised a little bit hotter than the speed limit. But we're back. We're running 43. We had a nice 6 to 5, 5 to 6 transition back there. No 1, 2, 3, 2 bangs like we've been having. You know, and I've not even thought to try it in manual mode just to see how we're feeling in manual. But before we did what we did, Sonic parking lot, it wasn't even driving good in manual.
A lot more responsive in manual.
We're running good, smooth. It shifts when I hit the buttons, and I got to slow down again so I don't go to jail. That 3 to 2 manual was seamless, so I don't want to jinx it. I'm not superstitious, but so I'll just go ahead and say it. I think we found our solution. If you've made it this far, stuck around this far, maybe you've got some laughs out of us, or I don't care if you're laughing at us or with us, it don't matter to me. If you've enjoyed it at all, or learned anything, or if we've said anything that interests you moving forward, go ahead and like and subscribe. It's never cost me a dime to do that for everybody else, so let's return the favor. No, we're not sponsored, but if you want to fix that, we'll give Sonic plenty of business.